Chapter 4. What a Scream. When Bean's older sister Nancy wanted her room painted yellow, Bean's mother said that Bean could pick out a new color for her room too. Bean picked green, not light sweet green, deep rich green, the color of emeralds. Everyone told her she would get tired of it, but she hasn't. Bean loved her room. It was small and cozy. Her bed was in one corner, her toy box in another, her dresser in a third, and best of all, her basket chair was in the fourth. She liked to sit in her chair and pretend that she was an ape girl living in a jungle tree house. She had made a lot of pictures of jungle animals and stuck them on the wall. The best was the toucan. "We can draw," said Ivy, looking at the pictures. "We can draw dinosaurs." "I don't want to draw. I want to break a world record," said Bean. "Don't you?" Ivy shrugged. "Not really. Seems like a lot of work for nothing. I don't want spoons all over my face." "But then you'd be famous," said Bean. "But I don't care if I'm famous for spoons on my face. If I'm going to be famous, I want to be famous for something important like Mary Anning." Bean shook her head. Spoons would be fine with her, but spoons were taken. Bean stared at her green wall and tried to get an idea. Ivy laid down on Bean's bed and tried to imagine finding a isosaur. Quiet minutes went by. "Hey," said Bean. Ivy looked at her. "I've got a great idea," said Bean. This was going to be easy. "I'm good at screaming, and I'm good at breaking things, right?" "I guess so." "I'll break a glass by screaming," said Bean. I'll be the youngest person ever to do it." "What, you scream and throw a glass?" Ivy looked confused. "You already did that with a plate." "No, the scream breaks the glass. This lady in the book did. She screamed so loud that a wine glass shattered. But she was old. I could probably scream louder because I'm young. I'll be a record breaker." "That's a good record," said Ivy. "That'll be fun." She bounced a little on Bean's bed. "Okay," said Bean. "I'll need a wine glass. I'll go get it." She jumped up, and then she sat down again. Her dad was still sweeping up the little bits of plate. He probably wouldn't be very happy to find out that she would be planning to break something else. Maybe she could find something made of glass upstairs where he wouldn't need to know about it. Not a mirror. That was bad luck. But there had to be something she could use. "I've got it," she yelled. "Guess what? Nancy's glass animals. I'll shatter one of them. It'll be even better than a wine glass." "Wow, Nancy'll get mad." Bean pictured Nancy's face and then quickly put it out of her mind. "No, she has gazillions of them. And besides, I'll glue the animal back together when I'm done. She won't even notice." "I hope," she added silently. Ivy went on a spying mission down the hall, past Nancy's room. "The coast is clear," she reported when she came back. "She's not in her room." "Okie doke," said Bean. She took a deep breath and headed to the door on a super quiet tiptoe. Nancy's room was very organized. All her books were neatly arranged by color. Her yarn for knitting was rolled into tight balls. Her friendship bracelets were lying aside lying by her side on her dresser, and her glass animals were lined up in two straight rows across the top of her bookshelf. It was like glass animal army. Nancy had been collecting them since she was 5. She had a plain china cats and dogs and turtles, the kind that you can get at the drugstore, but she also had some fancy animals too, tiny dolphins and horses and butterflies. She had a beautiful unicorn with a blue glass horn and a peacock made of glass that shimmered like rainbows. Bean wasn't going to hurt them, but right in the middle of the army was a gloopy looking octopus with 8 squiggly legs. That was the one, Bean decided. Its legs were thin. They would probably pop off if she gave a good scream, and that'd be easy to glue it back on. Nancy would never have known. Bean grabbed the octopus and stuffed it down her shirt. Just to be safe, she tiptoed back to her room. Got it, she said, setting the octopus on her dresser. She took a few short breaths to get in the mood and looked hard at the little octopus. Its gloopy head dangled on one side. Prepare to die, she told it, and opened her mouth. Then she paused and looked at Ivy. You might want to cover your ears. Okay. Ivy stuck her fingers in her ears. Bean screamed as loud and high and as shattering as she could. The octopus just sat there. It didn't even crack. So Bean screamed again, louder than she had ever screamed before. But even though her scream, Bean couldn't hear another sound. It was the sound of her father running up the stairs very, very fast. A second later, he burst through the door. What? What's the matter? He shouted. His face was whitish gray. Bean stopped screaming. Nothing, she said. What's the matter with you?